Hey guys, welcome back to another video from Father and Son Investing, the channel that encourages young people to get started early in their investing life. Speaking of young people, I gave you an update the other day about my son and baseball season starting. He's a pitcher. He went 7 innings on Saturday, threw 70 pitches, and gave up 1 run. 59 of those pitches were for strikes, so a pretty awesome day for him. Now, speaking of awesome days, you all might not be having awesome days right now as you see all of your portfolios dwindling, especially if yours was like mine. I discovered that mine was about 40% tech and med stocks the other day, which was a little bit too much overload in that area, but that's where I kind of consider my wheelhouse to be. So today we're going to talk about something that's neither tech nor medical stocks. We're going to talk about Freeport McMoRan, which is a mining company. I'm going to talk to you about what they produce and why it's important. I'm going to talk to you about how they are being an environmentally, socially, and corporate governance company. And we're going to give you an outlook of what their price target might be for the future. Their big products are copper, gold, and molybdenum. But copper is really their mainstay. Now, why is copper important, especially today? As we transition to electric vehicles and renewable energy, copper is going to be a huge part of that. If we take a look at this graphic right here, up to 4 times more copper versus internal combustion engines is what we're looking at. And for renewable energy, 4 to 5 times more copper versus fossil fuel power and generation. Copper consumption right now in 2020, we're looking at about 6 million metric tons going into EVs and renewables. By the time we get to 2025, we're looking at about 1.6 metric tons. So almost 3 times the amount of copper will be getting used in the next 5 years, really 4 years now, just for electric vehicles and renewables. Now, how does that equate to what's currently being produced? Right now, 1.7 million metric tons are being refined in the United States alone. And in the next 5 years, the global EV and renewable market will almost take up just what the United States is producing right now. Copper gets used in a lot of products, but 70% of it goes into the applications that deliver electricity. All right, so how much of that copper market is Freeport McMoRan going to claim? For 2021, they're estimating about 3.8 billion pounds, 2022, 4.3 billion pounds, and 2023, 4.4 billion pounds. Now, something to keep in mind if you're thinking about investing in this company is the price of copper. Of course, the amount of money this company is going to make is highly dependent upon what the price of copper is. That price of copper has been fluctuating. It fluctuates just like every other mineral, but has been steeply on an incline since July of 2020. This graph shows the price of copper right around $3.50 per pound. However, if we go to the current price of copper, we're going to see that it's $3.99 per pound right now. The earnings estimates that you're going to see for Freeport McMoRan and their calculations are based on a price target for copper of $3.50 per pound. So should the price remain this high, you'll see that the earnings are going to be much more than what they are predicting. In fact, each 10-cent change in the price of copper for 2021 is going to give them an additional $380 million. For 2021, they're estimating that their operating cash flow will be $5.5 billion. Again, that's at a price target of $3.50 per pound. If we look out into the future at various copper prices, we can see how this is going to affect their EBITDA. At $3.50, we're looking right around $10 billion or so. If we get to $3.75 per pound, we're getting up closer to the 11 to 12 billion. And if we're looking at $4 per pound, which is right where it's at about now, we're right about 12 billion. Likewise, their operating cash flows are going to increase with each successive increase in the price of copper. So we see from a cash flow standpoint, this company is going to be doing well, but how will that affect their overall economic outlook when we start looking at their debt? In 2019, their net debt was $7.8 billion. Now, the net debt is the total debt minus the consolidated cash that they have on hand. So then in 2020, they decreased that significantly. That came down to $6.1 billion. If we look at their total liquidity, we're right around $7.2 billion. That's the cash that they have on hand, plus the undrawn credit that they have available to them. Now, I said I wanted to talk about their ESG That stands for environmental, social, and corporate governance, the way that they're conducting themselves as an ESG type of investment. So this is a company that is committed to being a leading responsible copper producer. Now, they have several areas that they're concentrating on, such as health and safety. You know, a few years ago, the person who took over Alcoa, an aluminum producer, he stood up and said, this company is going to be the safest company, essentially, that they could possibly be. And investors at the time thought, this guy is crazy, we all better bail. It turned out that by making the company safe, they changed the culture of the company, and Alcoa started making money hand over fist. They want to be an environmentally responsible company. When it comes to the water that they use, 80% of it is recycled water, so 4 times more recycled water being used than new water. They are trying to achieve what is called the copper mark. The copper mark is a voluntary thing being done within the copper industry. It's based on the United Nations Sustainability and Development Guidelines. Those guidelines are recognized by 193 countries, and they make up a universally adopted framework for sustainable development. We can see here some of the areas that they're centered around, such as clean water, climate action, responsible consumption and production, etc. They plan to do that by managing the risks in their own supply chain, by managing the risks of their products and their byproducts, and by understanding the life cycle of copper that impacts the products along the value chain. And we can see down here the life cycle running through mining, smelting, semi-fabrication, product manufacture, use phase, and coming all the way back to the recycling phase, which then puts them back into that cycle. Just a snapshot of some of the things that they're doing when it comes to being an ESG performer. Again, 82% of the water they used is recycled. Put $100 million back into their communities, and you can see here a number of things that I won't read to you, but you can pause the video and read them. All right, lastly, let's just look at the stock price and maybe what we could expect for this stock in the future. They've had a very nice run, $15 back in September of 2020. I bought into it a few months ago. I think I bought it right around $28 a share. It made a nice little run up to 38 or so, and then it's been kind of oscillating up and down, but its price is holding above the $30 range. I think that's important. We're at $32.60 right now. Now, where could this stock be heading? Interestingly enough, this stock has decoupled a little bit from the price of copper. I said the price of copper has been going up, and yet the price for Freeport McMoRan has been coming down. Some of that may have to do with the price of gold coming down significantly in recent days. Of course, as the interest rates are rising and the stock market changes a little bit, people have been a little less interested in gold. So that certainly affects some of Freeport McMoRan's bottom line. They're not a huge producer of gold, or at least that's not their mainstay, but about 10% of their profits are coming from gold, and so that has perhaps affected their stock price. It seems like it's affected it more than it should have, though. So as this price of copper stays up at $4 per share, in my opinion, I think that we can look to see the Freeport McMoRan's price catch up to that a little bit. $39 a share, I think, is not unreasonable within the next few months. They will be doing their first quarter conference call, quarterly results conference on April 23rd. And so I think that will be a day where we'll hope to see that this price of copper and their better production going on now that COVID-19 is maybe being managed a little better than it was at this time last year. I hope to see some nice earnings increase out of them and hopefully a jump in the stock price. The other nice thing that has happened recently is they declared that they will be resuming a dividend. Now, it's not a huge dividend. It's only going to be 30 cents per year. So we're looking right about a little less than 1%. I think what this says more than, the dividend, which isn't all that much, is that they see their free cash flow increasing and therefore being able to return some of that back to their investors. So I think this gives some confidence in their financial situation. All right, that's it for Freeport McMoRan. The ticker symbol is FCX. I bought some more of it today. I see this not only as a recovery play, but an infrastructure play, as well as a EV and renewable energy play. Now remember that the price of copper can vary. It certainly has gone up recently, but it's nowhere near its high in 2011, and right now it's nowhere near its low either. So this could go up or down, and that certainly will affect Freeport McMoRan's bottom line. Keep that in mind if you're thinking about investing in this company. But I think the outlook for the next 5 years is pretty solid. Once again, get the young people in your life investing, and until next time, enjoy your investing.